Joining us, Scope, I'm very excited for this. We've been excited all afternoon. Legend of the NRL, a New Zealand icon. He is the head coach of the Kiwi national side, Stacey Jones. Welcome to the Run Home.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Mate, thank you so much. Now, straight off, the Kiwi side for the Pacific Champs has just been named. Mate, massive names in there. Obviously, one big out of the Melbourne side with his broken arm, Jahrome Hughes. But, mate, we're looking maybe at Kieran Foran. Is this the first time a player's been picked from radio to play in a national side?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, it was a hard thing to do, to pick a squad of 21, and I've had to leave some very good players out. But unfortunately for Jahrome, obviously one of the elite players of our game, and who would have been a key player for us. He told me about 2 months ago, before he broke his arm, that he was going to need surgery on his shoulder as soon as the Melbourne campaign was over. So the good thing is I knew early, and there was plenty of conversations with Kieran in the last 6 weeks or so, and very fortunate that Foz has put his hand up, to hopefully finish his career on a massive high in the black and white jersey.
Yeah, hey Stace, it's Justin Hoddle here, mate. Congratulations again, mate. All the best for the series coming up. 2 years in a row now, you've had a couple of legends of the game. Last year it was Shaun Johnson. He retired at the end with his Warriors stint and had one last hurrah in the black and white jersey. And as you said, Fozzie gets to wear the black and white one more time, or at least a couple more times as well. So that must be cool to have those conversations, even though disappointing with Jahrome Hughes not being available, to have that conversation with Foz at the twilight of his career. Yeah,
hey Justin, it is really good that you can have a couple of these legends of our game, Shaun, what he's done, and for the Warriors, and then also the Kiwi jersey, and he really enjoyed himself last year, and very similar this year with Foz coming in the fold, and I know the players love him. He's been a part of the Kiwi system for a long time, and he's a leader of this group, and the players are going to really love having him around the environment. And I know he's still got a big part in the game with the rest of his life. He wants to go down the coaching path, so he helped us out a little bit last year in the same arena. So this time he's going to have to do a bit more work on the field this time round.
What about you go from one of the more capped New Zealand players of all time to the debutant who's just coming off a grand final? What was that phone call like to Xavier Willison?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to remember too much. I think he was still celebrating.
Does he know he's in the side?
Yeah. No, he's had he was really close last year to the squad. I thought he played really well for the Broncos, and his game was coming on, and then sort of flew under the radar a little bit the back end of this year because he broke his arm and was out for quite some time, and then all of a sudden he pops up in a big game in a semi-final, and he didn't certainly look out of place when he came off the bench, and he's a point of difference player, and then playing in a grand final as well. So he flew under the radar the back end of this year, but was certainly there last year. So coming off winning a premiership into this environment, he deserves it.
Mate, what did you make of the grand final? Obviously, it's been all the chat about what a cracking game it was, and some Kiwis really stood up in that game. In particular, I mean, Jahrome Hughes, and as a man who scored an amazing solo try in a losing grand final, were you proud of Jahrome with his solo try?
Yeah, I thought Jahrome played really well. Even, the week before, his form was looking good, and even if I was I think if they wouldn't hear, he might decide he might want to go another month playing for the Kiwis, but it wasn't to be. He wasn't to be. So he played really well. The other player, a couple of other players that played in there, Kiwi boys that aren't in the squad, Jordan Ricky and Will Warbrick. Jordan's had a really good season. Will's come back from the head concussions that he's had. So. There's a bunch of Kiwis on display, but the grand final, unreal. Isn't Reece Walsh? He's got Kiwi in him too, apparently. So,
well, he spent some time at the Warriors.
Stace, we got to eventually get him at some point, don't we? We got to try to figure out those routes and go back and get him back there and see the whānau back home.
Oh, no, 100%. But what a game, eh? Like he's just we've all known how much talent Reece has got. It was for him just putting it together for long periods of time in a game, and he did it for 80 minutes, and that was the scary thing. Like even that first half when Brisbane were down, he was still a massive threat, and then that second half performance of his, it's going to go down as one of the best ever. So a cracker of a game.
What was he like, Stace, when he come back to New Zealand? No, he was obviously a young kid, and you were a part of the fold and during the setup when he was playing. And those were different times. Those were COVID years, so he actually never went back to New Zealand, did he, to go home and play? But what was he like around the playing group at such a young age? And could you always see that he had that sort of performance in him at such a young age?
He's always got the talent and that performance. The question mark was he going to be able to do it for long, consistent periods of time? And he certainly showed everyone that he can. On the weekend, and then also, the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it. Look, Reece doesn't die wondering, eh? That's one thing. He backs himself, and I think there's going to be a lot of people drinking toilet water for the next throughout the off-season.
Well, if you got Madge drinking toilet water, I think you can get anyone to drink toilet water. Hey,
100%.
One guy I want to talk about, Stacey, I want to highlight in this team. I thought he had a breakout season for you guys at the New Zealand Warriors. Aaron Clark, he's going to be a really important part of your Pac Champs team. Tell us about how he was when he first arrived, and have you had much to do with him in years past before he arrived? Because I know he was a part of the setup before he went over to Gold Coast during the younger ages. So tell us about the former Aaron Clark and how important he's going to be for the Pac Champs.
Yeah, he's going to be really important. Obviously, he's had a really good year. That adds a little bit of a different dynamic to what a Kiwi forward pack usually is. Big, sort of over the ad line charging players, where he's got a bit of subtlety about his game, even though he runs really hard and can get a quick play the ball. But he's just got that, maybe a point of difference where he ball plays a little bit more than, any other forwards we've probably got in the forward pack. And, yeah, Aaron's had in the last couple of years, a really good, in a real good purple patch of form. Before that, he was in a bit of wilderness there where he wanted to go. And I know he's gone, mentally gone through some challenges, and he was a young kid coming through New Zealand, coming through the grades, and then he went to Canberra. Then I think he came back to New Zealand and was in limbo a bit, and then found his feet at the Gold Coast Titans, and then got homesick and wanted to come home. And he's done really good here. Obviously, Webby's done a good job with him, and he's probably averaging 60, 70 minutes a game, where last year probably only 30. So, with us at the Kiwis, we don't, we're not expecting him to play big minutes for us, but I know that he'll do a job wherever he's put.
Mate, just on the leadership of this team you've put together, obviously James Fisher-Harris is going to be captain again, but there's no shortage of leaders in that squad. I'm looking, Joe Tarpany had an incredible season, his first as captain down at the Canberra Raiders.
What a forward pack.
Yeah, an amazing forward pack, mate. How do you go on deciding who's going to captain the side, and is it a little bit of a leadership group you've got going there?
We still have a leadership group, but James is our captain. There's no question mark over that, what he brings, and he doesn't say a lot, but they all complement each other. Him and Taps is vice captain, but they all chip in. We have a leadership group. He's in there. Kieran's in there as well. Ice Papali'i's part of that. Chance Nuku-Klokstad. So there's a good group, and then you got guys that weren't part of the group last year that were there the year before, like Ronnie Mulitalo and Britton Nakora. So we get some good players coming back that weren't there last year.
Mate, the contrast between you've got, James Fisher-Harris and your forward packs who are sort of that presence and don't say a lot, as you said. And then in your backs, you've got Ronaldo Mulitalo. How does that contrast go? He's one of those players, I don't know, when you coach at the Warriors, and I think a lot of teams can vouch for this, where you just hate him, when you're coaching against him.
Yeah.
But when he's in your team, you love him. He's that guy that you love playing with. You let him do all the talk and all that. So, I know that Ronnie rubs people up the wrong way, but, we love him. He loves this environment, and, he always, brings his best when he plays for the Kiwis, and, excited to have him back in the side.
Stace, I don't know what your best lineup's going to look like, and I imagine you're not going to give it away now, but when you've got a guy like Ronaldo Mulitalo, who predominantly plays on the left, and a young kid like Casey McLean, who normally plays on the left for the Panthers. I'd imagine that sort of experience for a young guy who Casey McLean, he didn't mind mixing it up this year as well. Like, you think back to that game against Stephen Crichton, so there could be, if it does play out that way, that's a pretty formidable left edge there with plenty of chat.
Yeah, it is. It is. Casey's had a wonderful year. He got a taste of Test match footy for us last year. I think he scored 4 tries on his debut. So, yeah, I'm excited that see those two get together and really just have a good series. So, like you said, it's going to be hard to pick a squad of 17 from these 21 players.
So what do you make of the other squads? Yeah, you had a look across Tonga and Samoa, look very strong as predicted. Been a lot of change obviously in the last couple of years with players like a Payne Haas calibre of player picking to be eligible for his country of heritage in Samoa. So how have you seen both Samoa and Tonga and how strong they look going into this Pac Champs?
Yeah, they are very strong, and this could be, the most physical games of rugby league that we'll ever see for a long, long time, with the calibre of players and the strength of them, So it's going to be mouth-watering stuff. They've those two teams that they've picked, on any day of their game will beat any team, So it's just a shame that Australia aren't here to be part of it. It would be just, imagine having a four-team series, a quadrangular series with them involved would be one of the best things ever. But, it's going to be exciting stuff.
Yeah, the Four Nations or something like that.
Yeah, Four Nations, that'd be great. Now, just on that, though, the Australians obviously going over to play England in the Ashes. Do you reckon, feel free to sledge here, do you reckon they're more comfortable going up against the English forward pack than any of the forward packs in this?
I'll tell you what, and Justin, he's played over and played for the Catalans. Yep. They're tough over there.
They are.
Those English forwards, we've had some really good forwards in recent years come down here and apply their trade in the NRL. They're going to be no walkover, the English, and when they play them up there, they got a man in the middle with the whistle. He generally, 50 calls. So it's going to be a good series for the Kangaroos. Exciting too, and they always play well, the English up there.
Yeah, Stacey, have you found it interesting on that? I know you're going to get both games back at home for the, I guess, the regular fixtures. You've found it strange that the finals in Australia, mate? Is that something that's been talked about within the camp?
No, we're really just focusing on. For us, it's to focus on this first one. We got to get this one. If you don't get a result first up, you're behind the 8 ball straight away, and So look, there's a good following of rugby league people that'll support the game there. I know last year Australia were in there, but there's probably a lot more Tongan supporters there out at Parramatta. So. Whatever way it goes, they'll get lots of support, and I know there's lots of Kiwis out Western Sydney too that'll support the Kiwis. Hopefully we're there, but and likewise here, we're gonna. I feel the Kiwis are gonna, Samoa and Tonga will probably have more support than what we may have. I know when we play Tonga, it's certainly that way, and there's plenty of Samoans here too.
Oh, mate, our mouths are watering for this. It's going to be amazing, the Pacific Championships. Your first game versus Samoa, October 19 in Auckland, followed by Tonga on 2nd of November. Pac Champ finals, as we said, held in Sydney, November 8. Stacey Jones, thanks for joining us on the run home, mate.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Awesome.
Thanks, Stace. All the best.
Mate.
Thanks, Justin. Cheers, bud.
What an absolute champion, Stacey Jones.
I was lucky enough, so... my dad, the last couple of years of my dad's career playing over the Warriors, Stacey was a young, promising half coming through at the time. So,
wow.
that was cool, mate. Because then you come home back to Australia after Dad finished up playing for the New Zealand Warriors, and you watch him just emerge. You talk about that 2002 grand final, was so close, definitely right in and going for the Warriors at that time. So. He's got a great team in front of him. This is a great squad. He's got a good mixture of experience with some talent. So I can't wait for this Pac Champs. We're sort of it's been one of those things. It's been a slower build into the international footy for obvious reasons. We go through the origin period, and we had such a really good final series that now, I think this week, after the grand final was finished, I started to really get pumped up for this Pacific Championships and even the Ashes as well.
Mate, once the excitement of that grand final wore off, and then you go, oh, there's more footy coming, and then you see these squads are getting named, and you're like, oh man, these are going to be great games of football.
Once you see how stacked the teams are, that's been it. That's where the excitement's come from for sure.
Exactly. And, extreme caution, guys. Major rugby nations have united to ban players who signed with R360, which is now, is it posing a threat to the NRL is the question. Rugby Australia, along with several of the other world-leading rugby nations, have issued a coast statement. So this was Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, England, Scotland, France and Italy, saying that any player who joins with R360 will be ineligible for international selection. What are your thoughts, Scope? First off, on R360, I mean, details seem murky at this point, but they seem to have a lot of money. Is this a case of just rich people ruining sport, or do you think this is going to be a going concern?
I think it'll be a thing. I think it'll be something that affects rugby league for sure. I don't think this news is going to help NRL in any way. Like, I think the allure for rugby union players to miss out on a World Cup is so much more of a bigger punishment than it is going to be for the NRL players. I don't know how that affects the NRL players at all, if they are going to decide to go over there. And I've always been me and Kempy were talking about this on the back end of the captain's run. I think we're going to finish somewhere in between where football are and the Saudi money that's associated with football of the soccer variety and what league golf has become, where there will be, I think maybe if you look at it from the golf side of things, they probably attracted younger, more talented superstars in the game at the time. Whereas with football, even though Cristiano Ronaldo and even Neymar to a lesser degree were as huge names in football, they're probably at the back end of their careers. I think you're probably going to see more so of guys in their prime who are looking to make a big payday, cash in for a couple of years, and then come back. But I do have my concerns whether players will be able to leave, go for a couple of years, play in a lesser comp, miss out on the training, the physicality of what the NRL is, and then come back. But I think you're crazy if you're not an NRL fan or even Peter V'landys up at that level where you're not concerned about what this could be, because it seems as though it's a matter of time. I think maybe the date is November 1. I think once November 1 hits, we're probably going to hear some announcements, aren't we? That's my gut feeling anyway.
Well, just on that, so we're hearing reports that Payne Haas's management have postponed a meeting with the Rebel Rugby Union competition because of the obviously the November 1 rule. They want a clarification from the NRL as to whether that, not talking to other clubs, applies to this Rebel competition as much as it applies to NRL clubs. Rumours that is a potential $10 million switch.
I want to go back to the November 1 part because I find this interesting as well. My question in around it, maybe someone in the text line can let us know, because we've got listeners that are really tuned into what's going on around the world in sports. Like, I can understand the tampering for other clubs for November 1 because it makes sense, right? They're in the competition.
Mm.
I don't understand. For me, I don't get how what would you call it, like a rebel code, like a rebel sort of version of rugby. Why do they care about the November 1 deadline? That's the part that I find confusing. Like, if they are serious about attracting players, like, why should they care about some November 1 deadline that you can get punished for in the NRL, but the NRL can't punish what happens in that other competition? So I find that confusing. I don't know why there is a delay on the announcements for the players post November 1.
Unless it's to do with like those players, they want to basically let those players, they don't want to upset the NRL to the point where they don't have the option to come back in. Say you go for say you're Payne Haas, you go for those 3 years, you collect your $10 million, and you want to come back into the NRL, whether there'll be those penalties down the line. But I mean, it does seem odd. I wonder if that's coming more from the players' management than it is from the competition. Because, yeah, I'm with you. I can't imagine the Rebel competition would give a rat's.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably going to be the managers who don't want to upset the apple cart, like don't want to be negotiating away from the teams that they're currently at now with a Rebel competition, whilst also not giving the other teams the option of trying to match. I know as ridiculous as that may sound with some of the figures that have been thrown out, but at least the opportunity to negotiate fairly within the NRL rules is maybe what we're waiting for.
What do you, on this $10 million sort of an offer? I believe it's a 12-game competition. So if you're in Payne, put yourself in Payne Haas's shoes. What would you be thinking in terms of weighing up a decision like this?
Yeah, it'd be very hard to turn down, mate. I'm not going to lie. I'd like to think because of the love of the game that I did have, and I was so much more limited than what Payne was. So it's even hard to comprehend what it's like to be a player of that player in the NRL and the contract money. But I loved every opportunity that I got playing in the NRL. So I would use it to my benefit to boost my contract in the NRL and try to get and maximise as much as I could in the NRL. Now, if he decided to go for $10 million for 3 years, there's no way I'd begrudge him. I haven't begrudged anyone that's done it in golf. I haven't begrudged anyone that's done it in football or basketball or whatever other sports they've been. Like, that sort of money can set your family up. Like, that is actually generational money because of the money that you get in the time frame that you get it. Like, you can do a lot with that money if you're smart with your money, and then still have the ability to come back. So,
would you be?
It would be really sad for the NRL to lose Payne Haas because he's one of the premier players. I love watching him play, but
it's interesting. Like you said, because from where his career's at the moment, like, he's not at the end of his NRL career. Like, it'd be a much simpler, I think, equation if you're a player who's getting to the end of their NRL career. You're like maybe a year or two from looking at going to Super League anyway. This sort of money would be, one way to cap a year. But, like, if he gets a 3-year contract, that competition doesn't work out, it goes away. Like you said, how hard is that then to come back into the NRL?
Well, he's an outlier. He'll be a player that could do it. Like, he's got the talent levels of a guy, like different talent, but he's got the Sonny Bill Williams sort of like, he's just a different sort of player, a different sort of freak, where he could go, give it a couple of years, it might not work out, it may work out, who knows, but then he comes back and then he plays the game that's probably the game that he loves more. So I think he is capable of doing that. I think some others that are looking at it and some of the names that have been attached to it, I'm not so sure they can do it and come back to the game and have immediate success. I think it might take them a little bit longer. So another thing that you factor in with Payne Haas, how many times do we always, or how many times a year does it get brought up, the Jason Tomalolo contract at the Cowboys, right? And everyone talks about that being a crazy contract because for so long, there was like a 6-year period where he was the Payne Haas that Payne Haas is now 10 years ago. And he just ran himself into the ground. And he's a bit busted now for it. And he's still playing at a higher level than people probably give him credit for. But he's missing games recently where Payne could look at it and go, you know what? I've just put together this really strong sample size at origin level, playing for my country of birth, but also representing his country of heritage now, winning a competition. Mate, he has ticked so many boxes now in the last 3 or 4 years, winning an Origin series.
Next challenge, maybe.
Like, yeah, he could go and have a little, it would feel like a holiday, I'm telling you right now. Like, they won't come out and say it.
12 weeks, yes.
But for a 12-week competition, playing a version of rugby union, we don't even know what sort of version that would be, against less, it's not like they're playing against the best of the best rugby union.
Yeah.
It would feel like a 2-year holiday for him. And then bang, he just comes back and hits the ground running, gets a couple of meals. Like, you could easily see that happening for Payne.
Manly hold the key for David Fifita's potential Rabbitohs move. So he's almost certainly played his last game for the Titans. The Rabbitohs apparently in the final stages of securing the $1 million talent from the Gold Coast. Scotty Sackler not wanting to pay that, by the sounds of it. Only the final paperwork remaining.
He's punted a few people already, hasn't he,
Hasn't
Scotty
he,
Sackler?
RCG, gone. Connor Gordon, gone. And now Fifita, gone.
He only finished up on Sports Day on Thursday night, wasn't
He doesn't start till Friday.
So he's sucked everyone every day since he's arrived.
Oh, the receptionist at the Gold Coast Titans, be worried.
Well, apparently only the final paperwork is remaining for Fifita's release. Both the Titans and Rabbitohs are working on a deal that would see the Gold Coast contribute $500,000 to Fifita's contract for the next 2 years with South Sydney. How do you see that move? Fifita to South Sydney under Wayne Bennett. Is he the kind of guy that can get the best?
For sure, he is. These are the sort of contracts where Wayne normally brings out the best in the players. And again, like when you look at it, especially because the amount of money that people, this is the way. It's not even a Wayne strategy. It's just Wayne the human and who he is, and the chances he takes on people. Because he ends up getting so much more of a talented roster because he knows how to deal with the human, aside from the player. So he backs himself to bring out the best in the human, which then ends up turning them into a great rugby league player. And then you end up getting really great value. So because he'll go there, he'll play. If he plays for Wayne, he'll play better footy, depending on whether they can stay healthy, because that's been an issue of his health. He's been banged up over the last couple of years. But if he can go down there, they've got a good roster at South. Souths are a sneaky good team if they can stay healthy. They just haven't been able to prove that they could stay healthy over the last couple of years. So, but yeah, no doubt. Like you skim $500,000 off a David Fifita contract. That's good business for South.
Yeah, at half the price, you're doing well there. Well, despite both clubs being comfortable with the salary cap, the deal can't happen until they have a confirmed top 30 spot. So Manly have Rabbitohs forward Davey Moale from 2027, but are keen to get him a year early. So that would free the top 30 spot. But Manly, however, have no top 30 roster spots available and are looking into ways they can create a top 30 spot for Moale to arrive. They have off contract at the end of 2026, Jake Simpkin, Jake Travojevic, Lachlan Croker, Paul Bryan, Ruben Garrick, Tom Travojevic, Tolotau Kula, and Nathan Brown. Who do you see being...
Making way?
Yeah.
Tolu Kola, definitely not. He won't be going anywhere. Well, if it's up to Manly, he won't be going anywhere. Depends on what he can get elsewhere. Tommy and Jakey, it's looking pretty ugly there at the moment. Hopefully they figure that out. I reckon they will. A player who I really like when healthy is Lachlan Croker. I think he's been one of the more underrated players in their system, but he has been banged up now for a while. So I think it could be between the two number 9s, Lachlan Croker and Jake Simpkin.
Yeah, we're less than a week. The season's less than a week gone, and already the news, the off-season news, is coming in thick and fast. This one from Adrian Prasenko at the Sydney Morning Herald says Tigers and Seagulls veterans could make a shock player swap. He's reporting league veterans Jack Bird and Nathan Brown are considering a swap. So Bird and Brown contracted to, Bird is West Tigers, Brown is at Manly. Until the end of 2026. However, the pair are open to an immediate switch that has a potential benefit for both parties. Mate, what do you make of that as an option?
I was thinking about it just before, actually. It's probably a need for both. Tigers need more depth in the front row position, middle, which Nathan Brown is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, for the Manly team, outside of when Hamoli Olakawatu went down, Ben Travojevic has been getting a little bit better each year, but it was Corey Waddell who filled in for Hamoli Alakuatu, and outside of that, there weren't really any other options in the edge back row position. So I think it could be just one of those switches that's, you know what, this is just more of a position of need for us. You can create more value for the team, and a couple of vets make the switch. Did Nathan Brown... I don't know if he debuted at the Tigers. I know he was a Tigers junior. I know he's from the area originally. I think he might have debuted at South Sydney, made his way to Parramatta, had a couple of stints since then at Roosters, and now...
Debuted 2013 for West Tigers.
He did West Tigers.
Just one game. Just one game.
Just one game.
Yep.
So it could be, it could be a return to where he sort of grew up playing his footy. And
nice bookend.
And Birdie... Birdie's just more, his body's just probably not capable of playing, 10 to 15 plus NRL games at this point of his career, but bit of veteran presence, bit of a backup, and Molly Olakau'atu should be right for round one, so you've just got him for cover.
Yeah, nice. So, and similar, would they be on similar money, would you think?
I think so. I think they'd be, at this point of their careers, anywhere between 200 to 300, 350 max, I think, for the boys. So, become a bit of a cult hero at Manly, didn't he? Back fence Brown.
Yeah.
He did get rissoled like a number of times. He was just getting licked every carry, but credit to him, keeps getting back up. I actually felt sorry for the second carry. It was the player that had to take it after he got absolutely smoked. He'd get up with a big cheesy smile on his face. And the player after, he didn't. He got rissoled.
Right. Yeah, he's always one of those blokes who's he always looks like he's given 120%. Like he's just throwing himself at it. Now, Kevin Walters was on Breakfast with Vossi and Brandy this morning and had a bit to say about the selections for the Kangaroos for their upcoming side, and in particular some of those who missed out on a rep jersey.
There was a couple unlucky players, Matt Burton won certainly, to miss out on selection. And Reece Robson was the other one who's not part of this squad that was part of last year's Pacifica Nations. But Blake Brayley just, had a terrific back end of season and in through the final series. So he earned his spot as well.
Yeah, who do you think those players unlucky to miss out? And are there any other players you look at and go, geez, they're unlucky?
Just because of those, I haven't had a good look at the list, and sometimes you don't have the information like who's available. So with those two specific players, I would have picked both of them. I would have had Matty Burton over Bradman Best, and I would have had Reece Robson over Blake Brayley.
Really?
Yep.
Even with the back, like
Brayley
back
was
end
awesome this year.
Yeah.
I just think Reece Robson's a better all-round player, all-round hooker. I think his physicality's a lot better. Good service, good ball runner. By no means do I think that Blake Brayley won't do a job for Australia. I think he'll do a great job, but I just think Reece Robson is the better all-round 9. So I would have picked, and he's in. The Cowboys are another one of those teams, and it's almost like a detriment. The positive for Blake Brayley is he played really good footy all the way into the third week of finals, and we hadn't seen Reece Robson for 3 weeks, so I reckon that went against him. Think about how good Reece Robson was for New South Wales in the Origin arena the last couple of years. He's been a really underrated player. He's like another lock forward position player defensively. He can really hit you just as hard as Ruben Cotter can hit you when they play the North Queensland Cowboys.
Would this be a bigger decision if Harry Grant wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't decide
you're right.
who's
You're right.
But because Harry's there, is it kind of, okay, Reece, we're not saying you're not coming back, but we're starting Harry.
Well, most likely, yeah. So most likely neither of them would have played anyway in my best 17 because I'd have Tommy Dearden in the 14 jersey.
Really?
So I'd have Harry as the 9 and Dearden in 14. So it really wouldn't matter who went out of Robson and Brayley. If you want to sort of blood a guy and get him in camp and get a feel for what it's like to be in those sort of camps. Hopefully, I don't know, Harry Grant or Tommy Dearden don't go down, but if they do, he's really good cover.
Mate, that makes the point you said about how the Cowboys, like not seeing the Cowboys for those last 3 weeks, they're a bit out of mind because as soon as you said that, I was like, and then I remembered back to the Origin series Tommy Dearden had, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, he's picked himself.
Yeah,
like,
Tommy Dearden's a lock. Yeah, he
massive.
was a Wally Lewis medal winner. He also proved over the last couple of years that he can come off the bench. He was probably their best for Queensland in Origin 1 when they got blown away by New South Wales, which probably led to, with that Game 3 performance, him securing the Wally Lewis medal.
Mate, now Kevy also had a bit of a chat about the inclusion of Josh Addo-Carr after the withdrawal of Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax.
Yeah, the Foxes was an obvious choice. He actually rang me when the Parramatta Eels season finished and he said, Kevy, I'm going to keep myself fit. I want to be on that tour. You never know what can happen. And I took it as all. It's a nice phone call from him and great excitement about, the fact that maybe he could be playing for the Kangaroos. And there it is. Some 30 days later, here he is.
I'm going to pick you up on that, Kevy. You're not telling the complete story. He would have said, brah, I'm right, brah.
Brah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, I'm right, brah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I've got to get in the lingo of it. I'm right, brah. You let me know, brah. I'm ready to go, brah.
Oh, isn't it good to hear Vossi and Kevy just throwing around the word brah?
It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No.
With Fox. He doesn't hit it with the gusto that Foxy does. I love that conversation. I love that phone call. When we talk about, where international rugby league's at and some players that have been 50-50, if you're Kevy Walters and you get that conversation from Fox, how are you not just itching to pick him? So I love that he was rewarded. He did make himself available. He said he was keen. Unfortunately, for Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax, they had to withdraw through injury. So it opened up the opportunity for him to get himself back in the fold. And if you weren't paying attention to the Parramatta Eels this year because they'll, further down the ladder than they had been in years previous under the Brad Arthur reign, getting all the way to a grand final about 2022, mate, Fox was unbelievable this year for them. Even in the games that they probably were getting blown out in early before Mitch returned. He was so consistent. His yardage carries are really good. And then at the back end, when Mitch returned, then he started scoring the tries like we all know Fox can. So great reward. Bit of a comeback season for the Fox in a way. In the NFL, they've got the comeback player of the year tourist. Fox would be a candidate for that too, because just the fashion and the way that it ended with the Bulldogs, with the off-field dramas. So I remember when they did a bit of a clip for him on their social medias at Parramatta, and he played his 200th game, and he talked about how he thought his career was done. He thought he was done with, and Parramatta gave him a lifeline, and he repaid them, and now he's got himself a green and gold jersey.
Mate, he sort of turned back the clock a bit this year. Got back to being the point where he's the fastest man in league. Did I see he had a run around at the Curry Knockout on the weekend
he
too
plays
in
every year.
Tamworth?
He plays every year, Fox.
How would you feel if you're Kevy, you're just going, yeah, I'll pick you, and then he's going around running? Because I've got to imagine, like, obviously he's a next level talent, but if you're a country football player who's running in that, and you see the opportunity to see if you can run down the Fox and take out anything.
There was a couple of years ago, I think he had a scrap in one of them. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I dare you, if coaching staff, CEO, recruitment, whatever it may be, officials, try to tell those Indigenous brothers not to play in that Curry Knockout, and you're going to get trouble. They all play, mate. Jack Whiten was playing on one team. I think Latrell was out through injury this year, but he attended it. And this is what makes Wayne so great too. Wayne actually went down and watched it for a couple of days, and they shot some content around it. And that's the reason, he gets the best out of players, and specifically like the Indigenous players, the Indigenous Polynesian players. He understands what's important to him, and that tournament is so important to those boys. So, I thought that was cool to see Uncle Wayne head down there.
Did you see George Rose take a couple of helps?
Yeah, Georgie.
Yeah, it's great to see.
Mate, Georgie Rose's team has been stacked for years. I think they get Ben Barber, they get Joel Thompson, they get all the most recently retired NRL players, and they mix it in with his family. And it's unlimited interchange. So the big fella only has to have
2 or 3 hits.
He only has to take a couple of carries. In saying that, I had the pleasure of playing with Georgie Rose during my time at Manly. Mate, for a big guy, he is so silky smooth, like really quick. So for him to come on 5 minutes, maybe two sets in attack, two sets in defence, come back on off the field, start spraying people from the sideline with all the mob, with all the family. So mate, it's awesome. It's that weekend. That weekend's only getting bigger and bigger.
Well, it would have been a warm one too on Sunday for the final in Tamworth too.
I think they played the final on the Monday.
Did they?
I think it goes all weekend.
Apologies.
I think they go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They really spread it out now, and it's a huge carnival.
Oh, fantastic. Now, we talked a little about the Zach Lomax injury. The update from the Eels Twitter account, he's finished the season with an abdominal strain. Recent scans have shown it is not fully healed, limits his power and strength. This injury needs to be rested. It's expected he'll be ready for pre-season training. That's from the Eels. Obviously, the rumours all around with him and R360, who've been a little bit public about he's one of the players they're targeting. What do you make of the Zach Lomax situation here, mate?
I'll tell you one thing about the abdominal strain and backs. They're very hard to pinpoint medically. They're one of those ones, and if you are if you have something like that lingering over top of you, those are the sort of injuries that have got so much grey area, and there is a lot of grey area around Zach Lomax at the moment, all these reports. So maybe he just thinks it's in his best interest to stay at home, look after the rig, get healthy, stay away from the public eye, stay away from the media. Maybe that's a bit of that for Zach.
The Cook Islands squad has been announced for the upcoming Pacific Championships, and they're going to be coached by Carmichael Hunt, who obviously ex-AFL player.
Special K.
Yeah. Teams against Fiji and PNG announced. Brendan Piakora, Davey Moali, Kale Iro, Murata Niakora, Makeshi Makatoa, Mason Teague, Isan Masters, Brad Takarangi are the big names.
Tackers is still getting a run.
How
is mate? He's one of the best. Tax has been retired from professional rugby league for 3 years, and he still keeps getting a gig for the Cook Islands. He's one of the real characters too. He's a good human, Taxer. But you know what I've loved with this Cook Island team. He would have been a lock for the Kiwis, and probably hasn't got as much chat around it because. It's New Zealand and Cook Islands where the defection has happened. Not defection, but playing for his country of heritage.
Yep.
Kale Iro. Both him and Murata Niakore would have been locks for the New Zealand team, I reckon. I reckon Stacey would have had him, had them a part of their best 21 or 22, but have decided to represent the Cook Islands, which I think I'm all for it. I think it's cool. And a couple of really good players there. Brendan Piakura is another one. He was part of the makeup for Queensland a couple of years ago. Billy had him as 18th or 19th man. So, some good some really good players in a team where they've also got a couple of veterans in Brad Takarangi and Isan Masters as well.
Mate, Kale Iro, what a year he's had. I'd like to think when they announced that side, they played "We Need an Hero." If they've got
Mason Teague, look out for Mason Teague as well. I think he's young. He's another player up at the Dolphins. They've got about 3 or 4 of them. They're very similar. It's Max Plath, the Junkyard Dog. Why am I forgetting his name now? Pardon?
Is it Oblix?
Not the Oblix Tough is another one.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm forgetting. He's my favourite player. Oh, the lock. He played lock and hooker for him this year. Donahue, Mason Teague.
Donahue.
They're all little hybrid hooker locks. Could play in the middle for him and got plenty of versatility. So another player to watch out for.
Mate, is it good to see these bigger names going to the smaller Pacific Island nations now?
It's awesome, mate. It's awesome. I can't wait to chat to. I want to ask Stacey just about where he sees Samoa and Tonga at the moment because, like I said right at the start of the show, I'm so excited for this Pac Champs. I think it's a coin flip. Can you flip a coin 3 ways?
Yeah, because it's a triangle coin.
Because I reckon the market. I haven't had a look at the market yet, but I can't imagine that the price difference for Samoa, Tonga, and New Zealand are all going to be. I think it's going to be within $1. So, for example, maybe the Kiwis are favourites at around $2.80. You've got Tonga and Samoa somewhere the $3.50 to $4 range max to win it, to take it out.
It's going to be fantastic. And what do you reckon the odds are of that first hit up of the competition being a sidestep?
No sidesteps. It'll be. I think Nathan Brown might be he might be the referee for it. He'll blow the whistle straight off the back fence. Who we got? The first game, I think Samoa versus New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Imagine Payne Haas into James Fisher-Harris to get the Pac Champ started.
Oh,
how good would that be?
Lay down a statement, mate. While we're talking international footy, it might be time for this.
Beers and ideas. Thanks to Traveller. Ultra low carb, made from Australian ingredients. Beer for the country that's actually Aussie owned.
Now, you've got an idea for this one. Revolving round.
It's very negative, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very negative.
Reveal it, mate. Reveal it. Don't leave the listener waiting.
Are we done with the Prime Minister's 13 versus the Criminals, guys?
You don't like it?
Can we, for listeners, 0457 736 736. Now, the reason I think this game was started was we want to see young, emerging talent that are capable of playing for Australia later in the year. And I'm going to say this respectfully to the roster, the list that's there. And also, going back to the PNG side of it, I want to see the Papua New Guinean team in more meaningful games than this. I want to see them playing against the Cook Islands. I want to see them playing against Fiji. I just think this game has just lost it almost feels a little bit like City Country 10 years ago. Remember it got to the point where we're all like, are we cool with this just being done? Like,
oh, now you sound like Des Hasler. He was the one that wanted to put a bullet in the City.
Oh,
Country
was
game.
he?
Yes.
Was he the OG? Was he?
He was.
Well, call me the Des of the Prime Minister's 13 then. Put that tag on me because, look, I never got the opportunity to represent my country. I was lucky enough to represent New Zealand Māori. I didn't get the Prime Minister's 13 jersey would still be cool, I'm sure, to some of these players. But come on, man.
Mate,
come on.
So look, we've got. So this is you're telling Jai Gray, Jason Saar, Bradman Best, Nick Meaney, Try Fuller, Ethan Strange. Don't worry about it, boys.
Well, here's the thing, right? With these boys, some of these players may have rep honours in their future, and I think maybe half of them at least will. But like for me, this game over the last 3 or 4 years, it's just like it feels like who's left, like who's available, who's not on holidays. That's the feeling I've been getting from it for the last 3 years. So. Yeah, I just think it's gone past its use-by date, and because the international game for the islands is getting so much stronger, I've got more of a taste for PNG to be taken on. Like I said, I want to see them on the other side of the Pac champs. I want to see them competing for the top tier of the Pacific Championships by winning that competition and being able to knock off a Samoa or a Tonga eventually. So.
Would an age limit work for you, Scope? Like for the PMs, like if you said it's
I don't
under 23s under?
I don't. Oh. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so
like the soccer in the Olympics.
There you go. So that could work. Where you're all right, like call it what it is. It's for younger players. That we think will be hitting the scene for Origin or Australia later on.
Plus 3 oldies. That's how they do it in the World Cup. You get three over 23s.
Yeah, you get a couple of
You get Matt Eisenhuth and Brad Schneider in there.
Yeah.
But then you got to be under 23s for the rest of it.
How much influence did Albo have on this squad, you reckon? Do you reckon he gets a say at all?
Well, how many Rabbitohs players do we have in it? So Keon, Tellis Duncan, Jai Gray.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Is Kyle Flanagan related or something?
Shout out. We got a text coming through. Someone was filthy that Fogarty missed out and Flano got the gig over top of him. Like this is my point with it. Like I reckon Fogarty just made himself unavailable.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to that point where it's like Fogarty's played in a couple of them already. I think he definitely played last year. But
focusing on moving to Manly as well.
Yeah, that you got to change. Like it's the end of the year. You can't, like, to be honest, that's probably what's going through with a lot of these players that haven't been selected or you think are obvious contenders to be playing over others. So.
Mate, you got the text line started. Tony's straight in. Albo has no idea what he's doing at anything. Someone should have taken over and picked the team for him. Well, it wasn't Ricky because I reckon maybe Kyle would have missed out on that spot just quietly. And this question, and this might be a good one to pose later in the show when we talk to Stacey Jones. Will the Pac Championships be better than the Oz versus Great Britain games?
Ooh. I reckon the Ashes series is going to be sneaky good, and they just got to wait until they see it because I have an England upset. I said this on the captain's run. Yeah,
Ooh.
I like the English team. I like the roster that they've.
He's really turned Kiwi in this section, hasn't he?
No. I honestly, I think it's going to be hard for some of these players to go up there. They haven't been over there a whole heap. Like it's not like the old years where they used to go over every other year. It's a different experience. It's going to be cold, and I really rate Sean Wayne as a coach. I think he's a really good coach. He won a number of trophies for Wigan during his tenure there as well.
What, you're still here? Well, you can see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio, you beautiful humans.